Castle Eden Ale.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I've just taken the dogs out and I wasn't going to have another beer, but you know what? I'm going to fucking have one. And I've just tried the Castle Eden Red, and that was a really nice beer. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. It wasn't mind-blowing, but it was pretty good. And I didn't realise that I had a bottle of this lying in the fridge as well. I must have bought the two at the same time, and they came from Beer Sniffers. £3.25. Make of that what you will. Now, on paper, like the other stuff, the red, it did look really good, and it really looked my kind of beer. And looking at this stuff, it looks very, very similar. So I'll just give you a quick rundown on the brewery. The brewery's been going since 1826. It's in a place called County Durham, which is in the north of England, specifically a place called Seaham. Now, Seaham is very near a place called Chemical Beach. I fucking kid you not. There is a place in the United Kingdom called Chemical fucking Beach. Obviously not Chemical fucking Beach, but Chemical Beach. Now, I don't know about you, but that is the last place I would want to sit on or even walk the dogs on. I'd like to know what chemicals are in that fucking beach to give it its name. It could be purely geological, but I think down the road there was a big ICI plant in Middlesbrough, and I'm not sure whether that's all travelled up and it's just congregated on Chemical Beach, which is quite handy. Chemicals congregating on Chemical Beach. I don't know, but the alarm bells are fucking ringing, right? But I'm hoping there's none of them chemicals in this beer, and if the last one is anything to go by, the red, that was really nice. And I know I got a bit sidetracked there on the old Chemical Beach malarkey, but this brewery have been going since 1826, so they've got a bit of an history, and they're, as I say, they're based in County Durham, which is right up north. Next stop, Scotland. It's not really, but you know what I mean, I like to say that. Anywhere north of Watford is fucking Scotland to me. This is one of 3 beers that they do, but they also do a lot of contract brewing as well. And they've got the full, you know, they do the whole lot from start to finish. They can brew beer, they can pack it, they can bottle it if you like, they can distribute it, and they also have their own labs which they will, you know, process your own yeast or come up with new strains of yeast and analyse your beer, etc. So they're pretty much, you know, the full Monty as far as breweries are concerned. And yeah, that last beer I was quite taken with, and I wasn't going to try this tonight, but where that one was so good, it got a 9 out of 10. I thought I've just got to try this, because if it's anything like the last one, this is going to be a good one as well. So let's stop guessing and let's investigate this beer. It's slightly lower than the red. The red was 4.4. This is 4.2. It's a 500ml bottle. On the back of the bottle, on the label, it says produced to the classic original recipe. Castle Eden Ale at 4.2% has a distinctive malty sweetness from the pale and crystal malts with a rich and creamy head enhanced by torrefied wheat. Styrian and East Goldings give a distinct fruity hop character that contributes to a rich, full-bodied ale that is truly Moorish. And quick bit about the brewery. They put originally brewed at the world famous Castle Eden Brewery. World famous. This is the first time I've fucking heard of it, mate. In Castle Eden Village, the brand was reintroduced using the same traditional recipes and ingredients in 2018 from the brewery's new home in Seaham Harbour. Yeah, I'm not sure whether there was a break. I know they got taken over by Charrington's. Not Charrington's, Whitbread. They got taken over by Whitbread. Now, if you've never heard of Whitbread, they were quite big, especially in the 70s and 80s. Whitbread beer and Whitbread pubs, especially in London, they were quite abundant. And it seems they took over this lot and they've reintroduced it in 2018. So, and they say they're using all the original recipes as well. That I doubt, because the last one had Willamette hops, but they're a good substitute for the hops that are in this. And looking at the ingredients of the red, very similar. They got the torrefied wheat, as I said in the last video. Torrefied wheat is puffed wheat. It's like your sugar puffs without the honey and the sugar. And what that does is it creates body and it increases head retention on it. Pale, light and dark crystal malts. Pale malts obviously is your base malt. Your light and your dark crystal malts. Crystal, of course, being the the malt being watered, the shoots growing up from the malt, the sugar being produced by the malt to feed these shoots. Then as soon as that sugar is produced, it's thrown into the kiln. These new little sprouts, they all die and the sugar is retained, but it's crystallised due to the heat, and it gives the beer a nice sweet and malty flavour. Very, very good. Used a lot in British ales, and it really does make a difference. You can tell, especially in the ruby ales. It's absolutely gorgeous stuff. The hops, they've used Styrian and they say East Goldings. I'm imagining they're East Kent Goldings, and they're they're grown just down the road. There's a place down here that does them. I mean, they're grown all over Kent, but East Kent Goldings are a hop that was, I think, originally devised in a place called, I think, is it Westmoreland or Eastmoreland? There's a laboratory, university laboratory type thing, and in the 60s they come up with these East Kent Goldings. And Styrian hops, of course, Styrian Goldings are a very similar type of that style of hop, but brewed. They're not fucking brewed, you silly twat. They're grown in Austria, in the Tyrol region, and in Slovenia as well. What was the other hop? Styrian and East Kent Goldings. And of course, them sort of flavours are spicy, earthy, and a little bit floral as well. Now, in the last video with the red, I really did get a lot of the spicy character on the finish, which was really nice, because certain beers use these hops, but that spicy character doesn't really shine through on the end, and it gives you that bitter finish. On that one, it was really nice. So let's see if this is any different. Right, now on paper, these two beers look very similar. It's just the hops that are different, and the ABV is slightly lower on this one. So let's get it in the glass and see what's going on. Right, immediately I can see the colour's different. But there's quite a nice head on that. It's slightly murky. The glass is a bit dirty there. I do apologise about that. It's slightly cloudy. There's a little bit of a haze to it. What are we getting on the nose? Very creamy malt, sweet malt. And a lot of that hop characters coming through as well. It's very spicy. I can get that, but the malts are the big thing on this. Very sweet malt. It's almost creamy, vanilla-y type malts, but it's that sweet aroma that you get from crystal malt, which is really nice. It sort of looks like a golden ale, but it's not. It's darker, but it's not as dark as the as the red, which I'm imagining has got more of the darker crystal malt, which has given it that dark ruby colour. Now it doesn't say it's bottle conditioned, but it does look a little bit cloudy. And to be honest, they put the wheat in there for the head retention, but you know, that's not a fantastic head on there. But it does smell pretty good. So let's get it down the hatch. You're good elf. Wow. That is quite nice. That crystal malt is really coming through on that. And it's very sweet, as they say. Very sweet malt. Almost like sugar puffs. I don't know whether that's in my subconscious, but that's what I'm getting. But it's really nice. It's very sweet. It's got more malt character in this than the ruby or the red had. Oh, that is really nice. And the malty sweetness on this. When they say it's Moorish, yeah, that is Moorish. I really like this. Not much of the hops coming through. You had a single hop, that Willamette hop, in the other one. I'm going to compare the two because, as I say, on paper, you know, they both contain the crystal malt. They both contain the pale malt, obviously. The hops are slightly different. There's two different types in this, and there's the, you know, just a single Willamette hop in the other one. But this does have more of the malt character, even though there's two different types of hop. Oh, do you know what? The other one, the red, I called that a grower. Not that sort of grower, if you know what I mean. If you don't, I'm not fucking explaining it to you. But from the off, this is really nice. It's quite sweet, but I don't mean artificially sweet. It's malty sweetness on this. And from the first few mouthfuls, this really is Moorish. At 4.2%, you could guzzle loads of this. And I really like this. I think I prefer this to the red. Yeah, that's really good. I don't know whether this is going to be for everyone though. Now, I've noticed these sort of flavours in some of the good Shepherd Neame beers and some of the other ales from them various small breweries and about. Usually in golden ale, I get this very malty sweetness. I'll tell you who did one that was similar to this. It was the Harvestone was it Bitter and Twisted? It had this nice sweet malty character on it, and I have to say, some people may not like it, but I absolutely love this. It's very sweet, it's very agreeable, and at this ABV, you know, 4.2, this is a really good session beer. God, fucking hell, that is really good. I really like that. And a subscriber put a comment on recently saying he doesn't normally buy beers that are below 4.5, and to be honest, there's some really good beers at lower ABVs. Do not be influenced by the ABV, and do not think that the higher the ABV, the better the beer is going to be. That is simply not true. I've had beers, Timothy Taylor, you know, I think on draft, I think that is lower than 4%. And in the bottles, I think in the bottles it's slightly higher. You normally get higher ABV in the bottles, but on draft, that's below 4%, and that is fucking outstanding. London Pride is just over 4.2, so that really is, you know, one of them beers that, you know, has to be taken into consideration when, you know, you're looking at the ABV on beers. That does, or it shouldn't really influence you. What you should be looking for is ingredients, because anyone can fucking keep a beer in a cask and let it mature and up the ABV on it, and if it's a pile of shit going in, it's going to be a pile of shit coming out if the ingredients ain't there. So just bear that in mind. Rant over. But this stuff, fantastic, really good, and it's one of them beers where the more you drink, the more you want. So what's the verdict on Castle Eden Ale? This is great. I really like it. It doesn't hit you on the first mouthful, but then second mouthful you think, oh yeah, I know what they're trying to do. And this is really good. I tried the red and that was good, don't get me wrong, but I think this just shades it a little bit. And I bought these on the off chance, you know, I looked at what they said on the brew sheet and the description, and I thought, that sounds like my kind of beer. Now, I've been caught out before. I tried the who is that one from Norfolk? They do Nibbler, which was a ruby ale, and that looked good on paper, and I bought some. What a fucking disappointment that was. I can't think of the brewery now. Oh, here it is here. And that looked really, as I say, that looked really good. And it was a disappointment. I looked at this lot on paper and I thought, I was a bit wary after that, but I thought, do you know what, give it a go. I've not been disappointed by either of these. Don't get me wrong, they're not up there with the Cotley and the Cropton and the Wadworth stuff, but they are not fucking far behind, I'll tell you that. Out of the two, out of the red and out of the ale, I think the ale is better. It's certainly more sessionable, but that's not to say the red isn't bad. I'll give the red a 9 out of 10. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 because it's just really good. It's a really nice beer. Now, if you're not a fan of sweet malt, you're not going to like this. But I do like sweet malt, and this is very, I hate to use an American term, it's very malt forward. But it's really nice, and it's got a moreish flavour that I can only describe as addictive as some crack cocaine dipped in dark chocolate with a little touch of caffeine and a little touch of whatever else is really addictive. But yeah, that's what I'm getting. This is a 10 out of 10. It's a really, really good ale, I have to say. Now, I've given it a 10 out of 10. I'm not going to say it's better than the Wadworth or say the Cotley or anything like that, but it's on a par, I think. I think it's just got that moreish flavour that is really sessionable as well at 4.2. So yeah, everything is good. And remember, beer is working class champagne.